secretly like keeping it on the DL because like our family all stay with me. But
No, I hear you. I mean, how has that been? Because I know sometimes when it comes to having family around, it can be kind of crazy, annoying, frustrating at the times. Or do you enjoy the family time?
yeah, it's been interesting. Like, you know, it's funny how family will bring out your demons. You feel healed, but
No, I mean, I think we all, especially now with the COVID situation that people are living in, that it's almost like too much of something is it can be too much to begin with in the first place. Like when you spend, it's almost like when you spend too much time around your loved one. Like you could love them, but you're like, yo, I need my space. And I think that this is why, to me, like this situation is becoming more detrimental to people's health, mental
yeah,
health, in so many aspects that the triggers. Yes, Melissa, the triggers are so high right now, and I think that people really need to realize that the one thing that we have that we control, that nobody can take away from us unless you let them,
right.
is your peace of mind. That's the one thing we have. That's the one thing that is not controlled
No,
by anybody.
yeah, like I totally agree. Like I think it's like you have to have a sense of self to guide you through anything in life, but like especially like you know family and just like trauma with growing up because
Hmm.
that bleeds into uh your career. Like
Hmm.
you absolutely have to have some sort of healing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it's like anything. If your mind, I mean, I know from my own personal, because people always like, they look at my career and they always say, "Oh, D, you're so successful, or you're so lucky, or any of that bullshit." And I'm just like,
Right.
one, luck ain't had shit to do with it.
It doesn't.
I earned it. Second,
I
it
love that.
wasn't like it happened overnight. And to me, I don't ever look at my life as being successful. What I do say to people is that my life is progressful. Like success to me is something that you have when you're done, when you have finished the journey. You've completed every bucket list that's on that checklist, and you're like, okay, I'm good. And then you can able to give it back tenfold to somebody to say, hey, you know what? This is what I went through. This is my story. And I think everyone has, their story. But I think people, when you have trauma and you come from, you know, pain, everything is mental. It's a mental game. If you don't heal your mental, the rest of you, and I know that just from myself of going through. Wes, what's up, man? I know if you go through like the situations that I've gone through in my life, and I'm sure you've gone through your own,
Mm-hmm.
that it's like if your mind's not right, everything else just seems
Yeah.
lost, and
It's
you're
like
and
a
you're
it's
in.
like a fractal. You know what I'm saying? It's literally like everything else. It's like a wave reverberates throughout your life. If your
Mm-hmm.
mind and your physical isn't right, nothing else in your life is. Truthfully.
No, and that's why it's about number one. But you also, everything in life is a choice. You have a choice to stay down and let it destroy you, or you can do what I did. And for me, it was motivation. It was motivated fuel to be like, you know what? I like sometimes being the underdog. I like sometimes having my back up against the wall. I like being underestimated by people because I was underestimated my whole life. The 26 years I've been in show business, I have.
Yeah, you're like the OG. Like you literally like we were supposed to work together almost a decade ago.
Yep.
Like legitimately.
And you and this is the thing, and this is why for me, like I say to you, like
Yeah.
You only get, and especially with COVID, people need to realize that you only get one life,
Right.
one. And before COVID, everyone was going at this fast pace, this movement, and it's almost like the whole world was a social media feed, you know, and the constant scrolling, and it's just like how people treat each other. They don't really connect with people anymore. They scroll through the lives because it's like, think about it. How many people could have 1 million followers on social media? 1 million. But I ask people all the time, the people that have those millions of followers, how many of those millions of followers would come running to your aid if you were in real trouble?
None.
None. Almost
Are you kidding
none.
me?
You maybe get one if you're lucky. And to me, it's like people are just like when they look at the government in this situation, they're constantly thinking that someone's coming to save them. Nobody's coming to save them. The only person that you can save is yourself,
Right.
because you come into this world alone, you leave it alone. So everything in the middle is what matters. What you do at the time and how you want to be remembered. And that's why I tell people, number one is that, like, if you're not, and I've said this to you, like, you have so much potential, and you've had this, and as I said, yes, we should have been collaborating years ago.
Yeah.
Because you've had this sort of stop and go, like a
Yeah,
go
it's like a
kart.
weird theme in my life, you know? Like,
Yes, Roger, social currency. I think that's the thing that people, unfortunately, have gotten so lost in translation that they're looking for social currency from the outside, the people that they see in their feeds and likes and followers. But they forget to fix that the most important social currency is within. The thing, I mean, how much do you value yourself? And people, majority of the time, they value more what people think, say about them, than really taking into themselves, okay, you know what? I've got to value myself. I've got to value myself and know that my story matters. Your story matters. And that's why I keep on saying to you is that you have been your biggest obstacle. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, what is the thing that you feel is constantly putting you in this quicksand?
is that rhetorical? Like, obviously, we both know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally my mindset. It's like this toxicity. It's like you grow up in this small ass town, you leave, you move out to the big wigs, the big shots, LA. You're like, sink or swim, I'm in LA. I'm gonna do all this shit. I'm gonna be the next big fucking thing. And then you sink. You don't swim, you sink. And you realize there were so many life rafts that were fucking thrown at you. And you didn't take any of them because you didn't realize they were life rafts. You know, it's like, that's just like how it was for me. I look back on a lot of things and I'm like, yeah, that would have saved my ass.
What is your biggest regret?
I think mentoring, advice, when people back in the day would say, like, you need to work on a brand. Like, you and I have talked about this at length. Like the politics, like, that's not your business is not the place for it. If yourself as an actress, as a model, as a brand is what you're selling, your opinion is not a part of that.
So what did you say? Hold on. What, I don't give a shit about anyone that doesn't like me, and that's the way sometimes you have to be. And tell people, like, this business, this industry, you have to have tough skin. If I could tell you the amount of people that have hated on me, don't like me, said shit about me, I could literally buy the entire country, literally. you
Like if you
know,
had a quarter for
if I
every
had a
time,
quarter.
right?
And the thing was is that unfortunately the difference is that like their hate is really them hating themselves. That's what I have to realize after going through certain things in my life, because I'm like, why are you hating me? Why are you hating the fact that I took a chance on myself? I bet on myself. I gambled on myself, and I won. And yes, I've stumbled. I have fallen. I've had my ass kicked per se in this business. I've been in the darkest places. 4 years ago, suicidal. Went through all that shit. But it was, for me, it was like I had to take a step back and really realize what I am doing and why I'm doing it. Our greatest fear is worrying about what others think of us. It's a complete illusion. I agree. And that's the
I
thing is
love
that
that.
I always say we live in a world that's a matrix. None of it's real.
You're
Like
preaching to
none
the
of it.
choir.
None of it's real. Like we don't own
Right.
any of this. We don't own.
Right.
And what annoys me is that we weren't like we didn't own this planet. The planet was given to us.
Right.
Like we are the visitors here. Like that's what we don't realize. Like we are the visitors, of. She said also you're a queen too. We are the visitors here, and we have this big, 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 beautiful planet. But what blows my mind is how we will be remembered. Like when you think of like all the gadgets and technology and things that we have created in this world.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the last 15 years, we'll be remembered in this generation more for what we destroyed than what we actually created. Because we have this society where we are so ugly to each other. Hey, what's up, baby girl? Come here. What? Come here. You want to say? Hold on. Baby girl wants to come in. Come here.
Oh my goodness.
Come here.
Let me see.
Nala, come here. Come here.
She's shy. She's camera
Come
shy.
here. Come here. Come here. Hold on. Hi, baby girl. Hi.
Oh my god. Listen, D,
Hi.
I'm not a cat person, but like she's fucking cute.
Hey, baby. You wanna beatbox? Hi. You want a beatbox? I love you.
Wait, I
Say hi.
realize I've been trying to fucking filter on this shit. Like, please, Lord, give me something.
How do you do that? How do you do that on live? I don't even know how to do that.
It's the faces. It's the faces.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that on a live.
I'm like ready for bed, D. That's why I was like, you know what? This man up here gave me a comment. He was like, "You look like a queen." Thank you. Do you want to get married?
Yes. Oh, and yes, Mel. Only I would cuddle a cat because, to me, they're the only pussy that I've been able to trust in my life for the last fucking how many years. And to me, the way that I look at it, that the world needs more cats, because you know what? When you have love from a cat, it's forever. Like, and the reason why I say that to people like dogs or cats, and I'm like, look,
Right.
dogs are like people. They come to everybody. Like they just come to you. You don't know what their intentions are. But with cats, they make you earn that shit. Like they don't just give you the love and be like, hey.
Yeah.
That's why when you get them, the first day you bring them home, they hide in a closet or hide in a back room for like 2 weeks. And then they slowly trickle themselves out because they want to see, okay, before I fucking start fucking with you, I gotta know that you're fucking with me and you're down for me the way that I'm gonna be down for you. And that's why my wisdom rests in peace. She lasted 21
But
years with me. But
I have a bit of an ego, D. So like my
okay.
dog, you know what I'm saying? Like my dog, like she like the second she was in my arms, it was like an unconditional love, and I love that.
No, but and that's the thing. But the thing is, the reason for me with dogs, man, I've had dogs, but it's the length of time. They're not here a lot. Like they don't live like cats for 20 something years, you know.
Right.
And that to me was like, to be able to establish a connection. It almost feels like, as I said, it's like people. Like, think of all the people that you've met in your life. Like, it's crazy. Like Mel, who's on here, me and her have known each other since 1997, and
I was 4 years old.
and she has been, you know, we've seen some shit. We've gone through some shit. She's seen me at she's seen me at my conception. But the difference is that, like, we lost touch for a few years. But it was like, you know, it's real when you can just pick right back up, like right where you left off, like no time has passed, whatnot.
Absolutely.
You know, and that to me is where people now in society, they've forgotten that fundamental of what relationships are, because people would rather have social media status relationships than real ones. And that's why, like, for example, like, you know, I don't think it's the fact that when you have had these setbacks and these, you know, as I said, this hot and cold, because you know, you wanted to. I think it comes on the fact that you are who you surround yourself around. So if you don't have a champion fighting for you, pushing you, like saying to you every day, like, because like to me, like there comes a point, like I'll motivate certain people, but if they don't get their head out of their ass after a certain period of time,
but it's gotta be yourself. Like,
exactly.
You and I had a fucking 3-hour conversation the other night where it was like, you were like, Tiff, you have to like stop like getting in your own fucking way. Like, you have to be your greatest motivator, because nobody's gonna hand this career to you.
Nope.
You were like, not even me. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's gonna do it besides yourself. So get all your fucking ducks in a row, and people will help you once you become easy for them to help.
Well, it's the thing, because people don't understand is that, like, everything in life is about the relationships that we build. But if you surround yourself with people that don't want to grow, then you don't grow. And that for me is like, I used to deal with, it's one of the reasons why, like,
you think.
Yeah, like for me, like, you know, where I was living before, when Mel was in the same city as well too, was we were in a really shitty fucking place. Like, I don't even want to mention, I'm like, I won't even say the name because it's just, it makes my blood crawl. I mean, but don't get me wrong, I established an OG status there, literally putting the city, you know, because before I got into the Hollywood game, I was in the nightlife game. And I created an entire nightlife for a city, and that had nothing. And, you know, gave some of the most legendary parties and events, and created, you know, an atmosphere for people to come together, create marriages, relationships, friendships. And it was good. But as time went on, you learned, and it prepared me for Hollywood, was that when you give so much to people, you forget about yourself. You forget about that, like, while everyone was growing up and getting older and establishing like friendships and relationships and marriages,
Right.
my friendships and relationships were my staff, my coworkers. And then when the shit was over, after 20 years in that game, I walked out and said, hey, I'm gonna have all these friends, and I'm now able to hang out with people, and now people have moved on. They've like gotten married, they've gotten kids. I can't see them. And then the rest of the people were like, we don't need you for VIP, we don't need you for drinks, we don't need you for this. Yeah. And they were gone. And but again, it mentally prepared me for the Hollywood game, because you know what you're getting.
Moves fast. Like, shit moves so fucking fast.
It moves very fast.
It's like I'm 28 and I'm outdated, replaced with younger models. You know, I'm like, I'm not like old, But in Hollywood, I'm old.
Yeah, but see, but this is the difference is people always use the term, you know, there's an age limit. And I mean, hello, I got the biggest disadvantage being a black man in the industry, you know,
Yeah,
because we
you
just
do.
don't have the opportunities.
You do. But
So
can I
you have,
just say, you're
yeah,
fucking crushing it.
I try. For me, I appreciate that, and for me, all I can do is do what I was meant to be and do
Mm-hmm.
what I was meant to do, and I try to do it with the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, each day I try to. I mean, my goal when I got in this industry was just to leave it better when I leave it, like to be able to not be a blip, and that was for me was like, you know, Mel will tell you. I mean, like, there's nobody that could duplicate what I did in the '90s in that scene ever.
It was a different
But
world.
then, but then when I walked away from it and watched the new generation come into the scene and shit on everything and destroy everything and ruin everything,
Yeah.
I'm not even remembered for it. Like, I mean, unless you're old school and you're old and yeah, but the new generation, they have no clue. So I was like,
No,
okay,
no, no,
but
no. You're totally right. Like I hear stories about the industry, you know, because like I work in it. My day job is like marketing in Hollywood, and you know, in my free time, like you know, that's what I'm an aspiring actress.
mhm,
We don't say that anymore. We say just like you're an actress that gets up at work. We
mhm.
don't say aspiring anymore. Um, but yeah, like I hear stories and it's like, holy fuck, like that, all that shit, all that effort, all that pizzazz, that passion. We don't have
Mhm.
that in the industry anymore. That's gone.
Because it's more about social media likes and followers than passion. You've got,
Mm.
you know, casting agents and talent directors who look more at someone's social media feeds and the actual person's of work of
Yeah,
what they've
like
done.
castings are looking at your number, your follower account, and not your work.
Exactly.
It's like,
But this is where I try to tell the people, number one,
mm,
is that, you know, when I started in this game in 1992, you know, there was no social media game. You didn't have access. You like even what we're doing right now. Like you couldn't do this if you wanted to talk to Tom Selleck or whatever. Like you
right,
had no access. And
right.
for me, when people sit there and say, okay, like, you know, age and this and that or race or this and that, I'm like, listen, all those things, if you know that they're there, I look at it, it's like when you learn how to drive a car. You had all these obstacles, these pylons, these cones, where if you hit the cone, you fucking took away a point. And then you have to start over again.
Right.
But if you avoided all the fucking cones, did your parallel parking
You
and
have such like
the
great
thing,
analogies. Like you
the
really do.
thing, well, thank you. But the things that are hard, the things, because remember, like who liked parallel parking? Like, I'm fucking sure that was shit was, when you first learned how to drive, I was like, okay, really? Like, how am I getting in this small space and,
Right.
oh, okay, let me reverse back. Let me do it again. Okay, you had to do it multiple times, unless you were just one of those people that just got it, you know. But you knew, in order for you to get your license, whatever was checked off of like you didn't do that well, you have to keep doing it until you did it well, and then you passed.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference was that when you think about when you were 16 and you earned it and you earned that license, you were like, you running to school, you throwing that shit up, and you're like, oh my god, I got my license because you knew you put in the work. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is now is that people are connected to instant gratification from the wrong people. They're connected to instant gratification from people that don't even know they fucking exist. Like if you look at it this way, and this is the easiest way I tell people, it's like you got all these people on social media who idolize, worship other celebrity figures that are in my business. They got, you know, they're on their pages and their comments and if they say, you know, buy my fucking makeup.
Right.
They'll run to the store and they'll fucking buy their makeup.
Right.
But their own friends, their own peoples, their own fucking people that they say, yo, I'm down for you, man. You're my friend. When they start a business, crickets. They ain't fucking helping them. They ain't putting money to work. They ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
And that's when I had
until they're like, someone, until they gain notoriety.
Exactly. And then everyone's your friend. Everyone
Yeah.
knows. And I went through that. And that's why, like,
Right.
with certain people, like, I protect my peace now more than ever because I'm like,
Yeah,
as I said, like,
you're on this crystal stuff now.
yeah, exactly. You know, that's what it is. It's like you have to realize that, there's certain crystals of life.
Mm-hmm.
They're not for everybody.
Right.
Like, you got to protect those crystals. You got to protect the fact of, like, knowing that not everybody wants to see you win, and that's okay.
Very few.
That's what I have to. That's what I have to learn. I'm like, if you don't want to see me win, no problem. Doesn't mean I'm not going to root for you. I'm still going to fucking root for you, because for me, I want everybody to win. I want everybody to have a journey, and this is why I say this world.
It's such a rare mindset. Like, I'm with you because, like, I legitimately think, like, I saw something a long time ago. It was like Drake. He was a nobody back in the day. He was like up and coming. You know what I'm saying? And he literally was like, who am I if my friends can't take a piece? Who am I if my friends don't eat at the same table? And that has stuck with me because it's like, who am I if I have everything but my friends can't afford to be where I'm at?
Hold on a second. Mel, put some clothes on and jump into the room. Go on, continue.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, it's like, the squad, the fam, like, people. Like,
no, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I look at, like, I mean, when I was younger, I had a squad, I had a crew, I was in a gang. I had all that. I went through so many phases in my life. I went from, of having large circles.
Yeah.
But then, as I got older, and this is what happens with people in life, is that when you start to grow, and you start to, like, keep going up that ladder chain, you stay focused, because the way this is another analogy that I always try to tell people. Number one, that, like, I view the world like a battlefield, and my friend last night gave me another analogy which really sunk home, was that I view, when I'm on a movie set, like a symphony.
Yeah.
I used to be a musician myself. So my internet is choppy. Don't mean to keep bouncing in and out. Well, put some clothes on and come in the damn room then. So for me, the way I look at it is that every goal in life is an objective. It's like you've got to treat yourself like a soldier going into war. You got to treat the industry like you're a soldier going into war, because it's war.
It's literally a craft. It's like, but it's more than that. It's a craft, but it's a fucking, like, it's a brutal ass lifestyle. It's literally nothing shy of military training. Like, you do this shit for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be the best in the business? Do you know how fucking harsh the competition in the business is?
And it's a question of how bad people want it. And this is the thing,
how
like,
bad do you want it? Because everybody in the world wants to be the 1% that is booking jobs, like Tom Cruise, fucking Halle Berry, fucking Viola Davis, like all of these fucking actors and actresses that are fucking top tier. But this
is the thing. Like, everyone asks me, like, it's always the question when they go through my portfolio, and they're like, how'd you work with Justin Timberlake, and how'd you work with Morgan Freeman, and how'd you work with fucking such and such?
You're like, I'm badass.
And I'm like, no, but understand is that what people don't realize is that they weren't looking for me. They weren't. I had to put myself in a position. But the difference was I had to earn that. It wasn't like, okay, they were just going to find me. And I always tell people, like, if you've got the talent, real people will find you eventually. But you have to put in the work.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. Kevin Costner, man. If you build it, they will come. and this is why. But the problem is, this generation does not want to do the work. They want somebody else to do the work for them.
It's like
they want.
It's like all these Instagram baddies. Like I just looked at one today. It was a guy I was talking to. He owns a. I'm not going to say names. I will never do that. But this guy, he owns a skincare company, and him and his baby mama are like in deals with like Kardashians. And I was like creeping on their profiles tonight, you know, and it's like, I'm totally happy for them, but you can just tell it's like they're not putting in the work, and it shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, in anything you do, it doesn't matter. Put in the fucking work. Don't just sit there and like try to copy and piggyback off of everyone else's success. Like, do your own thing.
But that's what it is. But that's the thing, because everyone is always looking at. It's like when I have a meeting with certain girls or clients that come in, and they're like, I want to be an actress, and I want to be a model, and I want to be famous, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, how? And I'm like, and they'll be like, I got 1 million followers. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if you have 10 million followers. If you don't have 10 million, do you have $10 million in the bank?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you can't turn those followers into dinero, it means nothing. And for me, I don't even give a rat's ass about social media. Like I don't care about likes. And this is the problem that I have now, not just in the industry, but in society, is where your value.
Your light went out.
Yeah. Hold on.
Also, someone said something. Hi, hello.
Your value, people now, and your worth is like about your follower status. Is about your like status, and I'm like, or they think, for example, and people don't realize because they don't really understand the way that the social media game works. When they see the people that have massive engagement, the Jake Pauls, the fucking King Bosches, understand, one, their demographic is kids. They built their demographic on strictly 16, 13, 12-year-olds.
You don't have to explain this shit to me. Like, I literally, one of my best friends, we weren't best friends. We were okay friends in acting school. Hannah Stocking. She's got 18 million followers, and her demographic is children. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And this is the thing. And listen, if that's your demographic, cool, good for you. If you can turn it into a brand, my hat's off to you.
Right.
But the way that these social media companies pimp out, because yes, when they're in their millions of followers and stuff like that, all these companies are pimping them for that engagement. And that's why now, like when it comes to Instagram, where you've seen the decline, where maybe 2 years ago, you make a post and everybody saw the shit. And all of a sudden you started seeing over the years, like the more you posted, the less you posted, less people were liking, less people were following, less people were, and because now, unless you're willing to pay Instagram to really see that engagement, but I'm like, and this is what I was telling you the other day, I was like, you need to create your own brand. Fuck this OnlyFans bullshit. Fuck all these other platforms. It's why when I, for example, Mel will attest to this. When I was running nightclubs, actually Roger's even on here, who used to work for me. He used to work for me for years. And when I was running nightclubs, I used to hire my staff to basically walk around the fucking nightclub with a clipboard that would have name, email, phone number, address. And Roger will attest to it. Whenever I gave him that duty or any of this stuff, they fucking hated it. Like, why gotta walk around this damn clipboard all night? Like, what? And to them, it was like, okay, pick up girls. It was an easy way for them to talk to girls and whatever. But for me, I'm like, look, these people who are 19 years old, who just started clubbing, at some point, they're going to be in their 20s. They're going to be in their 30s. They're going to be in their 40s. They're going to have families. They're going to have businesses. They're going to have kids. And I was the first person doing this. 4,000 people in my club, and I'm literally having girls with clipboards running around, taking names and emails, paying them $50 a night to do it. And no one understood why I was doing this. He posted, I hated that. Even Roger even posted, I hated that shit. But again, The reason why I had them do it, because I'm like, look, I knew in my head at some point my company name was Alliance Entertainment.
Hmm.
When I started it in 93,
The year I was born.
yeah, in 93, I had one vision. Alliance is what you have, which is where you find the best people, different genres, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different skill sets.
Yep.
I want to put all these people under an umbrella, an alliance. Entertainment, it's a big ass fucking word.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean nightclub, doesn't mean film, doesn't mean television. It means everything. You combine them together, Alliance Entertainment. But I wanted to make sure that my brand, my company vision, it was a one-stop shop. If you needed this, you came to us.